Assalamu alaikum everyone. أخباركم إيه؟ يا رب تكونوا بخير. Welcome to Learn Egyptian Arabic with me, Muhammad. In this video, you're going to learn everything you need to know to start learning Egyptian Arabic. Now, some of you may think or ask, why did you call it Egyptian Arabic? Don't Egyptians just speak Arabic? Well, the short answer is yes, we do speak Arabic. But the long answer is more complex than that. Classical Arabic or Quranic Arabic was first introduced to Egyptians during the Islamic conquest of Egypt. At that time, Egyptians didn't speak Arabic as a first language. They spoke Coptic instead. However, there was a persistent need to learn and speak the language as most Egyptians converted to Islam. Languages are living beings. And just like humans, languages influence and get influenced by each other. Arabic and Coptic are no exception. Egyptian Arabic evolved from Classical Arabic. However, it had some small influences from Coptic, especially in terms of grammar and pronunciation. In grammar, as we do today, we tend to use the SVO sentence structure instead of VSO, just like Classical Arabic did. In terms of pronunciation, we tend to use the S sound instead of the unvoiced TH sound, like we pronounce like S. And we pronounce the voiced TH sound, which is th, as Z, like Z. So basically, Egyptian Arabic is a variety of Arabic with Coptic influence. The dialect continued to evolve as it absorbed many Arabic words that would fit the modern times. And it also absorbed many other foreign words, especially from Turkish during the Ottoman Empire, English during the colonization of Egypt, and French. And now Egyptian Arabic is the spoken vernacular Arabic dialect of Egypt. Now you know what Egyptian Arabic is, but still there is a question. Why should I learn Egyptian Arabic in particular? Well, here are some good reasons to start. Reason number 1. Egyptian Arabic is the most widely spoken Arabic dialect. The number of native speakers is 102 million native speakers. Learning Egyptian Arabic will make you able to communicate with 32 of the total population of Arabic native speakers. Reason number 2. The cinema of Egypt has a great presence in the Arab world. By learning Egyptian Arabic, you can enjoy watching TV series, movies, listening to songs, read children's books, radio, etc. As a matter of fact, there are so many artists that made their name in Egypt, such as Asala, Hussein al-Gasmi, Asbahan, Farid al-Atrash, among others. Reason number 3. Egyptian Arabic is the most popular dialect in the Arab world. Many Arabs can speak and understand the Egyptian Arabic. So next time you meet another Arab from another country, don't be shy to ask them if they can speak Egyptian Arabic. Chances are they can. Reason number 4. If your next destination is to Egypt, knowing a little bit of Egyptian Arabic will be handy. We have 7 World Heritage Sites. Surely you have heard of the Pyramids of Giza, the St. Catherine's Monastery, the Islamic Cairo, and more. Imagine communicating with locals in their dialect. That will make your experience more authentic. Reason number 5. Egyptian Arabic is the most distinct dialect among all the other dialects. As we mentioned earlier, Egyptian Arabic was influenced by Coptic. Did you even know that Coptic was only spoken in Egypt? This gave and special identity to Egyptian Arabic that you will recognize it once you hear it being spoken. For instance, did you know that the letter Jim, one of the letters in the Arabic language, is pronounced like J, as letter J in French? While in Egyptian Arabic, it's only G. It's pronounced as the hard G sound. So once you hear that sound, yes, you made it right. That was Egyptian Arabic. In this video, you're going to learn 3 letters out of the 28 letters in the Egyptian Arabic alphabet. Yes, you heard it right. 28 letters. Unlike English, of course. But before you start learning these letters, there are 3 things that you should know before you start. Number 1. The letters are written from right to left. Number 2. Letters vary in shape depending on their position in a word. Is the letter written in the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of the word? And that leads us to number 3. In general, letters are connected or linked to each other. In other ways, they aren't separated. I included 3 example words for each letter. But don't stress yourself out with all these words. You don't have to memorize them all. Well, at least for now. I only included them so that you can watch by your eyes how letters change their form within a word. Alright, don't write after me directly. Just relax, watch the video until the end, and then you can start learning. Are you ready? So let's get started. Alright guys, let's start with the first letter, the letter Alif. Alif. Here is the letter Alif. As I mentioned earlier, every letter changes its form based on its position within a word. Let's learn together how to write the letter Alif in the 3 forms, in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. The initial form, have you noticed that the isolated form or the letter itself is exactly the same as the initial form in the middle and at the end? Have you also noticed that the middle form and the final form are written exactly the same way? Let's insert some examples. The first example is Asad. 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 Asad means lion. Let's move on. The second example is Nar. As you can see, here is the letter Alif in the middle of the word. Nar. Nar means fire. The last example is Ana. Ana. Ana means I. And here's the letter Alif at the end, as you can see here. And also you can see the letter Alif in the beginning. Asad, lion. Nar, fire. Ana, I. The letter is Alif. Alright guys, the second letter is B. B. Now let's learn the letter B in the 3 forms. In the beginning, in the middle, at the end. Here are a few examples. The first example is Bab. Bab means door. The second example is Laban. Laban means milk. The third example is Kutub. Kutub means books. Alright, and that's for the second letter B. So we've learned Alif, B. Let's move on with the third letter, T. T. It's written exactly like the letter B, the previous letter, except for the dots. T has two dots above it. T. T in the beginning, T in the middle, and T at the end. So you can see the pattern here. It's written exactly the same way except for the dots. Few examples are toot. Toot means berry. Toot. The second example is kitab. Kitab. Kitab means book. The third one is zayt. Zayt means oil. Toot, kitab, zayt. So we learned 3 letters so far. Alif, B, T. Alright guys, how was this lesson for you? Was it easy? I hope it was. Letter number 4. Se. Se. Again and again. Se is written exactly the same way as the 2 previous letters, B and T. The same way except for the dots. B has a dot beneath it, T has 2 dots above it, and Se has 3 dots above it. Se in the beginning, Se in the middle, and Se at the end. Here are a few examples. The first example is Sawra. Sawra. Sawra means revolution. For the second form and the third form, I included only one example, and I will show it to you. Musallas. Musallas. Musallas means triangle. You can see here the letter Se in the middle and Se at the end. Sawra, Musallas, revolution, triangle. 4 letters so far. Let's review. Alif, B, T, Se. Letter number 5. Gim. Gim. Try to pronounce this vowel as a long vowel. Gim. This one is different. In the beginning, in the middle, at the end. Gamal. Gamal, camel. Gamal. Nigm. Nigm, star. Nigm. Borg. Borg. You can see here that we didn't include this part in this example. That's because some letters don't attach to the letters that come after it. We'll learn about this later in the later videos. Gamal, camel, Nig, star, Burg, tower. Letter number 6. Guys, I should tell you that this letter only exists in Afro-Asiatic languages. So it may sound a little bit hard for you, but with a little bit of practice, you can master it. This letter is called Ha. Ha. It's similar to the letter Gim, but it doesn't have any dots. Ha. This is exactly the same as the English H, but it's aspirated, which means that the air must come out of the lungs. Close your eyes, listen to me carefully, and then try to practice. Ha. Ha. Here is the sound. You can notice that the air is coming out of my lungs. One more time, close your eyes and listen carefully. Practice, practice, and practice. Ha in the beginning, ha in the middle, ha at the end. Let's check out these examples. The first example is حوت. حوت. حوت means whale. حوت. لحمة. لحمة. لحمة means meat. Because who doesn't like food? The third example is ملح. ملح. ملح, salt. ملح, salt. لحمة, meat. حوت. We came to the last letter in this video, letter number 7. خ. خ. If you are a Spanish, Greek, or Hebrew native speaker, this letter is easy for you, right? خ. It's pronounced farther back at the throat. You should feel a little tickle in your throat. خ. In the beginning, in the middle, at the end. Some examples are خروف. خروف, sheep. صخرة. صخرة. صخرة, rock. بطيخ. بطيخ, watermelon. خروف, sheep. صخرة, rock. بطيخ, watermelon. Let's review all the 7 letters we have learned so far. ألف, ب, ت, س, ج, ح, خ. Alright guys, before we start with letter number 8, دال. In the beginning, in the middle, at the end. The first example is deek. Deek. Rooster. Deek. Example number 2, حديقة. حديقة means park or garden. The last example is بلد. Country. بلد. After dal, we have zal. Zal. Exactly the same as del, but with a dot above it. Zal. 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 Zaki. Smart or intelligent. Zaki. مذيع. Announcer. مذيع. تلميذ. تلميذ, pupil. Zaki, smart. مذيع, announcer. تلميذ, pupil. And let's move on to letter number 10, which is re. It's like the rolled R in Spanish. Re. 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 Roman. Pomegranate. Roman. Kursi. Chair. Gar. Gar. Neighbor. Roman. Pomegranate. Kursi. Chair. Gar. زين. زين. زين in the beginning, زين in the middle, زين at the end. Some examples: زرافة. زرافة. Gazar, Gazar. Kins, Kins. Let's move on with letter number 12. Seen, seen. Seen in the beginning, seen in the middle, seen at the end. Examples: سمكة, سمكة. فستان, فستان. شمس, شمس. And now letter number 13. Sheen, sheen. Sheen in the beginning, sheen in the middle, sheen at the end. Examples: شجرة, شجرة. خشب, خشب. مشمش, مشمش. Fun fact, if you have a male cat, you can call him Mishmish. It's a very common name here in Egypt. Let's continue with letter number 14. Sod, sod. Sod in the beginning, sod in the middle, sod at the end. Examples: صابون, صابون. فصل, فصل. شخص, شخص. And now we came to the final letter in this video, letter number 15. Dog, dog. It's not dead, it's dog. Try to thicken your accent. Dog in the beginning, dog in the middle, dog at the end. Examples: ضيف, ضيف. بيضة, بيضة. أبيض, أبيض, أبيض. We came to letter number 16. طه, طه. طه in the beginning, طه in the middle, طه at the end. Examples: طماطم, طماطم. مطبخ, مطبخ. محيط, محيط. Letter number 17. ظه, ظه. ظه in the beginning, ظه in the middle, ظه at the end. Examples: ظالم, ظالم. لحظة, لحظة. حظ, حظ. Right. Let's continue with letter number 18. Unfortunately, this letter has no counterpart in English or any other European language. It exists in Afro-Asiatic languages, right? And this letter, or the place of articulation, is pharyngeal, meaning that it's articulated with the tongue root against the back of the throat. And this letter is عين, عين. عين in the beginning, عين in the middle, عين at the end. And you can notice that this letter is guttural from the throat. Examples: عنب, عنب بعيد بعيد مربع مربع. Letter number 19. غين غين. This letter is pronounced as a velar fricative, meaning that the back of the tongue and the soft palate come close to each other without touching. Your vocal cords have to vibrate during the articulation. This sound may be similar to French, German, and Spanish native speakers, like the word rar in French, Arabisch in German, and amigo in Spanish. Ghin in the beginning, ghin in the middle, ghin at the end. Examples: غابة غابة لغة لغة صمغ صمغ. Letter number 20. Fe 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 in the beginning, Fe in the middle, and Fe at the end. Examples: feel field طفل طفل كتف كتف. Letter number 21. قاف قاف. This letter is pronounced like a K but harder. قاف. Even though this letter is called قاف, but in words it's pronounced like a glottal stop. قاف in the beginning, قاف in the middle, قاف at the end. Some examples: قطة قطة وقف وقف نفق نفق. Letter number 22. كاف كاف. كاف in the beginning, كاف in the middle, كاف at the end. Some examples: كلب كلب مكتب مكتب ملك ملك. And we came to the last letter in this video, letter number 23. لام لام. لام in the beginning, لام in the middle, لام at the end. Examples: لسان لسان قلب قلب بصل بصل. Letter number 24. ميم ميم. ميم in the beginning, meme in the middle, meme at the end. Example words: مقص مقص قمر قمر قلم قلم. Letter number 25. نون نون. Noon in the beginning, noon in the middle, noon at the end. Example words: نور نور مهندس مهندس. teen. Teen. Letter number 26. He. He. He in the beginning. He in the middle. He at the end. Example words. هدية. هدية. شهر. شهر. منبه. منبه. Letter number 27. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I know. This letter is cool, right? It's just wow. Wow in the beginning. Wow in the middle. Wow at the end. وردة. وردة. خوخة. خوخة. يوليو. يوليو. As you can see, this letter also acts as a vowel. And open O. The last letter in the Egyptian Arabic alphabet, letter number 28. Ye. Ye. Ye in the beginning. Ye in the middle. Ye at the end. Example words. يوم. يوم. خيار. خيار. عربي. عربي. Alright, congratulations guys. You finished all the letters. Let's review them all again. ألف ب ت س ج ح خ دال زال ر زين سين شين صاد ضاد ط ظ عين غين ف قاف كاف لام ميم نون ه واو. In this video, I'm going to give you 10 tips to master the alphabet. Are you ready? So let's get into it. We have here tip number 1. If you think that S and Sin have exactly the same sound, then yes, you guessed it right. You're absolutely right. But that's not the case. You may end up asking yourself a question like, how can two letters have the exact same sound? Well, here is the answer. In standard Arabic, S is pronounced like an unvoiced TH sound, as in the word think, while Sin stays the same in both standard Arabic and Egyptian Arabic. Do you remember the word مثلث? Well, that word in standard Arabic is pronounced like مثلث. مثلث. But in Egyptian Arabic, it's مثلث. So in Egyptian Arabic, S and Sin emerged to produce the same sound without any difference. Tip number 2. Can you differentiate between Zel and Zin? Again, both have the same sound, a regular Z sound in English, right? Well, what we've learned concerning S and Sin can be applied literally on Zel and Zin. Zel in standard Arabic is pronounced like a voiced TH sound, as in the word mother, while in standard Arabic it's a regular Z sound. For example, do you remember the word مذيع, announcer? Well, that word in standard Arabic it's مذيع and not مذيع. But in Egyptian Arabic, again and again, both letters have the same sound, both sounds emerged into one sound, a regular Z sound. Let's compare مذيع with زيت. Both have the same sound. Tip number 3. Do you see this group of letters? And this group of letters? Well, these letters are called the soft letters, and these are the hard letters. Well, you may think that both again have the same sound, but unfortunately, that's not the case this time. Listen to me carefully while I pronounce these letters. T, Del, Zel, Sin. These letters, Ta, Dod, Zah, Sod. Did you notice that the soft letters are called soft because, the sound itself is soft? So how to pronounce them? Just you have to keep your mouth open wide, as if you are smiling. Just smile. Look at my mouth. Seen. An open mouth. Seen. Del. So again, look at my mouth. Del. It's open wide. Del. Zel. Sin. Te, del, zel, sin. These letters are pronounced with a round-shaped mouth. So your mouth must be round. It's not wide like the soft letters, it's wide in the soft letters and it's round in the hard letters. Ta, Dod, Zah, Sod. So you can see here that my mouth changes its position depending on whether the letter is soft or hard. Listen to me carefully, comparing these two groups of letters. In the soft letters, we have T, Ta. In the hard letters, Del, Dod, Zel, Zah, Sin, Sod. Tip number 4. Can you see this letter? We call it Gim, right? Letter Gim. Well, it's pronounced like a hard G sound, as in game. But there are a few exceptions in which you have to pronounce the Gim, the hard G sound, as Jim, as in the word measure. These few exceptions can be categorized in 3 categories. The first one is feminine given names. Given names that are given to girls, like Lujain. And even the nickname of Lujain is Luji, Judy, Ritej, Juwairiya. Category number 2 is countries. There are a few countries that are pronounced like the J sound in Egyptian Arabic instead of G sound, like El Argentine instead of El Argentine. No one says El Argentine, it's El Argentine. Again and again, these are a few exceptions. This is not the rule, right? These are exceptions. We have El Argentine, Djibouti, Belgica. Category number 3. You have foreign loan words in Egyptian Arabic, especially from English and French, like the word jeans. And most people say jeans with an S sound at the end instead of jeans. But both are correct. From English. And rouge from French, rouge. But rouge, it's true that rouge is a French loan word in Egyptian Arabic, but rouge in Egyptian Arabic means lipstick, while in French it means red, a color. Tip number 5. This letter is called Qaf. Qaf. But in words, as I told you, it's pronounced like a glottal stop. Do you remember our example words? قطة. قطة. Here's the cough is pronounced like a glottal stop. O. قطة. نفق. نفق. It's a glottal stop here. نفق. But just like Gim, there are a few exceptions where you have to pronounce the qaf as it is. Qa sound, a hard K sound. K sound that is pronounced further back from the throat. These exceptions are words like ثقافة, اقتصاد, قناة, قنال. And there are two other words which you probably wouldn't use them in your daily life, like قذارة, قذر. Just to know, right? Alright. Tip number 6. Do you know these 6 letters? Alif, Del, Zel, Re, Zin, Waw. Okay. So you've learned that every letter changes its position or its form depending on its position within a word, right? These 6 letters are an exception. These 6 letters aren't connected to the letters that come after them, right? They are separated from the letters that come after them. All right, so if we found one of these letters in our words, how can I write the letters that come after them? You have 2 ways to write the letters, either in their initial form or isolated form. So when do I choose the initial form and when do I choose the isolated form? You choose the initial form if the letter is in the middle of the word. Wait. I choose the initial form when the letter is in the middle of the word? Yes. Because as I told you, these 6 letters aren't connected to the letters that come after them. So the letters that come after them act like initial forms. Okay? Example, Zayd. Zayd starts with the letter Zain. And Zain is one of these 6 letters. So you can see that the letter that comes after Zain, it's written in its initial form. And that letter is Yeh. Another example is Mool. Mool, Mol. You can see here that the second letter in this word is the letter Waw. And you can see now that the letter Waw is one of these 6 letters I talked to you about. Okay? These letters aren't connected to the letters that come after them. Okay? So after the Waw comes Lam. Mool, Mim, Waw, Lam. After the Waw, Lam. So Lam here is written in its isolated form. Why is that? When we give the example word Zayt, the Yeh after the Zain is written in its initial form, while Mool, the Lam, is written in its isolated form. Why is that? As I told you, letters that come after these 6 letters are written in their initial form if they are in the middle of the word, and isolated form if they are the last letter in the word. And Lam here is the last letter. Tip number 7. Do you recognize this letter? This letter is called Teh Marbuta or bound Teh. So what exactly is Teh Marbuta? Teh Marbuta isn't included in the alphabet. It's one of the forms of the letter Teh. But this letter is only written at the end of the words. Okay, we have also this form of Teh, which is written at the end of the words. So what exactly is this letter and why is it used in Egyptian Arabic or in Arabic in general? Well, it's used for grammatical functions. It's used to make the noun feminine or turn a masculine noun from its masculine form to its feminine form, and it's used to make an adjective in the masculine form into the feminine form. So let's take an example. Teacher or male teacher in Egyptian Arabic is مدرس. مدرس. It's a noun, right? And it's a masculine noun. To make it feminine, we have to add the ته مربوطة at the end. And what sound does the ته مربوطة give you? It gives you the a sound at the end. So مدرس in its masculine form would be مدرسة in its feminine form. We added the ته مربوطة at the end because it's used to make a masculine noun into a feminine noun. It's also used to make masculine adjectives into feminine adjectives. For example, the word قوي. قوي means strong, قوي. To make this masculine adjective a feminine adjective, we have to add the ته مربوطة. And as I told you, the ته مربوطة gives you the a sound. So قوي would be قوية. قوية, strong. Okay? This rule can be applied to all nouns and all adjectives that you will learn in Egyptian Arabic. Tip number 8. Do you confuse between these letters? He, ha, kha. Well, these letters may sound the same to your ears, but trust me, each letter has a different sound. Let's start with the easiest one, he. This is pronounced exactly the same way as you would pronounce the letter H in English. In words like horse, house, how, hello, and other words. So we don't need to talk about this letter too much, right? What about this letter, ha? This may be confusing to you, but ha is different from he. Ha is deeper than he. It's guttural from the throat. So imagine pronouncing he with the air coming out of your mouth, but you have to cut it like hai, the hai sound. This letter is kha. It's pronounced further back from the throat. Kha, similar to the jota in Spanish, if you are familiar with Spanish. And make sure you don't confuse these sounds because nahla differs from nahla, differs from nakhla. Don't want to confuse these three sounds, right? Tip number 9. Do you confuse between alif and ain? Well, you don't have to worry about the letter alif as it exists in English in words like ant, cat, mat, and. But what about ain? Ain has no counterpart in English. So I'm going to give you a few tips to pronounce the ain correctly. First, you have to keep your mouth open wide as if you are smiling, like this. And second, you have to place your tongue on the roof of your mouth. Don't raise it, just keep it down. And then try to push the back of your mouth to touch or to go against the throat right here. So you're saying I. So keep your mouth open wide, keep the tongue on the roof of your mouth, and then try to make the back of your mouth against the throat. Again, I. You can notice here that the air is cut. No airflow is coming in or coming out. Tip number 10, and this is the final tip. What can you see here? You can see number 2, number 5, number 7, and number 8, right? As you know, there are sounds that exist in Egyptian Arabic or in Arabic and its varieties in general that don't exist in English. Some native speakers, and not all, use these letters to give a special identity to the sounds that don't exist in English. And what are these sounds? Let's review them. We have the glottal stop. The glottal stop is marked with number 2. So when you write nafa, a native speaker may write it as nafa with number 2 at the end to give it a special identity, so that when you see number 2, you know that this is pronounced like a glottal stop. Again, not all native speakers do this. They may do it just for simplicity, just to give you a clue how this word is pronounced. The letter kha is linked with number 5. So some native speakers, instead of writing kharuf like this, they would write it like this. You have number 7. Number 7 is associated with the letter ha. So instead of writing lahma like this, a non-Arabic native speaker may think it's lahma, but it's not lahma, it's lahma with a ha in there, with a guttural letter in there. So to pronounce this letter correctly, some native speakers will use number 7 just to indicate the ha sound. And we have number 8. It's used to indicate the r sound, the ghain sound. So instead of writing ghazela like this, they would write ghazela like this. But again, not all native speakers do it. Just in case you met these letters or you saw them on comments or here and there. In this video, you're going to learn 5 basic greetings in Egyptian Arabic. So let's get started. The first greeting is, and the most widely used greeting is, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Some people say Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. And others say Assalamu alaikum. So there are variations of this greeting, but they all mean the same thing. Literally means peace be upon you. Peace be upon you. And when someone says Assalamu alaikum to you, you respond by saying Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. Literally means peace be upon you too. The second greeting is Sabah al-Khair. Sabah al-Khair means good morning. Now in English, when someone says good morning, you also say good morning. But in Egyptian Arabic, that's not the case. When someone says Sabah al-Khair to you, all you have to do is take the word al-Khair and replace it with other words. So the response for this greeting is Sabah al-Nur. Sabah al-Nur literally means morning of light. Sabah al-Nur. You can also say Sabah al-Ful, morning of jasmine, or Sabah al-Ward, morning of rose. The most common one is Sabah al-Nur, which means morning of light. And you know, Sabah al-Ward sounds too romantic, so I wouldn't use it with my friends. Greeting number 3. Masa' al-Khair. There is a glottal stop in Masa'. Masa' al-Khair. Masa' al-Khair means good evening. And just like Sabah al-Khair, good morning, you wouldn't respond by saying Masa' al-Khair. You would use something like Masa' al-Nur. Masa' al-Nur, evening of light, or Masa' al-Ful, evening of jasmine. So when someone says Sabah al-Khair, you respond by saying Sabah al-Nur or Sabah al-Ful. And when someone says Masa' al-Khair, you respond by saying Masa' al-Ful or Masa' al-Nur. Greeting number 4 is Ahlan wa Sahlan. Ahlan wa Sahlan. Ahlan wa Sahlan just means welcome. That's it. Ahlan wa Sahlan. Welcome. The last greeting and greeting number 5 is Tisbah ala khair. Tisbah ala khair means good night. And it's used when you talk to a male person, not a female, not a group of people. Because literally, Tisbah ala khair means you wake up. Tisbah, you wake up. Ala means on. Khair means goodness. So the literal translation may make no sense to you, right? What is you wake up on goodness? It makes no sense, right? I know. But we use it as if we are want to say, I wish you that you, when you wake up in the morning, you wake up as a good person, hearing good deeds, or to be a good person, right? That's what it literally means. So the greeting is so special. It differs from good night in English. And when you say good night to a female, it would be تصبحي على خير. تصبحي على خير. So تصبح على خير is used to a male, used with a male, and تصبحي على خير with a female. If you're addressing a group of people, it would be تصبحوا على خير. تصبحوا على خير. Good night. So when someone says to you تصبح على خير or تصبحي على خير or تصبحوا على خير, what do you respond? How is your response like? The response is as follows. وانت من أهله. وانت من أهله. To a male, وانتي من أهله to a female. وانت من أهله literally means and you are one of its people. It here refers to goodness or good deeds. So the greeting, this greeting in particular is so special for us. Again, let's practice. Assalamu alaikum. صباح الخير. And you respond by saying صباح النور, صباح الورد, صباح الفل. مساء الخير. And you also respond with مساء الخير or مساء الورد, مساء الفل, مساء النور. أهلا وسهلا, welcome. And تصبح على خير. تصبحي على خير or تصبحوا على خير. And you respond by saying وانت من أهله. In today's lesson, you're going to learn how to ask someone about their name. Now, in English, you say, what's your name, right? But in Egyptian Arabic, asking someone about their name depends on if you are talking to a male or a female. So let's start with the first question. اسمك إيه? اسمك إيه؟ اسمي محمد. اسمك إيه? Let's break this question down. Es means name. Ak means your. Masculine singular. A means what. As you can see here, that we don't use verb to be in the present tense. What's your name? اسمك إيه? To a male. If you are asking a female, it would be اسمك إيه? اسمك إيه? اسمك إيه? Es means name. Ik means your, singular feminine. A means what. اسمك إيه? What's your name? To a female. So we have اسمك إيه? What's your name? To a male. And اسمك إيه? To a female. Now, when someone asks you about your name, you would say, my name is. My name is in Egyptian Arabic is أنا اسمي. أنا means I, is means name, and E, the suffix at the end, means my. Now in English, you don't use the pronoun I in the sentence, but we use it in this sentence, in this context. أنا اسمي, and then followed up by your name. For example, أنا اسمي محمد, my name is Muhammad. You can say اسمي Muhammad for simplicity, my name is Muhammad, or you can say أنا Muhammad, I am Muhammad. Right? So let's review them all again. اسمك إيه? What's your name? To a male. اسمك إيه? What's your name? To a female. The response or the answer is أنا اسمي, my name is, followed by your name, or اسمي, followed by your name, or أنا, I am. In this lesson, you're going to learn 5 questions to ask how are you in English. Are you ready? So let's get into it. The first question is ازيك. ازيك. There is a double Z here. ازيك means how are you to a male. To a female, ازيك. ازيك. In the plural form, ازيكو. ازيكو. While you memorize these questions, try to memorize the suffixes used in these three questions. Ak to a male, ik to a female, ku, plural, in the plural form. Okay? Question number 2 is أخبارك إيه؟ أخبارك إيه? To a male, أخبارك إيه? To a female, أخباركو إيه? In the plural form. Again, you can see the ak suffix, ik, and ku. This means, what's your news? أخبارك إيه؟ أخبارك إيه؟ أخباركو إيه? Question number 3 is عامل إيه؟ عامل إيه? And try to focus, there is a I in there. عامل إيه? To a male, عاملة إيه? To a female, and عاملين إيه? In the plural form. This means, how's it going? How are you doing? The fourth question is, and this question is pretty informal, pretty informal, so make sure you don't use it with strangers. Just use it with your close Egyptian friends, okay? إيه الدنيا. إيه الدنيا literally means, what's the world? It's just our way to ask, what's up? That's it. إيه الدنيا. And of course, you don't use إيه الدنيا just alone. You would use it with other questions. You can choose one of the previous questions. ازيك, ازيك, or ازيكم, اخبارك ايه, اخبارك ايه, اخباركم ايه, or عامل ايه, عامله ايه, عاملين ايه. We came to the last questions, and the fifth question is مالك, في ايه. مالك, في ايه. مالكو, في ايه. This means, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Now, this question is only used in one specific situation. When you see someone close to you feeling a bit upset about something and you want to know what's going on with them, right? So you go with مالك في ايه, or مالك في ايه, مالكو في ايه. Okay? These are the 5 questions you should know in Egyptian Arabic to ask someone about how they are doing. Now, how to answer? How to answer these different questions? You have also various answers to these questions. Let's start with number 1. كويس. كويس means good. كويس. In the feminine form, كويسة. كويسة. Number 2, you can say بخير. بخير means fine, and بخير doesn't change its form depending on masculine or feminine. بخير means fine. Word number 3, تمام. تمام means alright, and you can also say كله تمام, like everything is alright, everything is fine, everything is good. كله تمام. So you can say كويس or كويسة, meaning good. بخير meaning fine. تمام meaning alright or okay, doing great basically. And there is a very important expression that we use on a daily basis. When you respond to how are you, you can use one of these 3 words we've learned so far. But there is an additional expression that we would use alongside these 3 words. And that expression is Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah means thank God. Now, the first thing that might come into mind is, are you religious? Trust me, Alhamdulillah has nothing to do if the person who is talking to you is a religious person or not. We use it on a daily basis and everyone uses it. So make sure you also use it. Alhamdulillah. Thank God. So let's practice. ازيك ازيك ازيكم عامل ايه عاملة ايه عاملين ايه اخبارك ايه اخبارك ايه اخباركوا ايه إيه الدنيا this is pretty informal and مالك في ايه مالك في ايه or مالكوا في ايه the answers we've learned كويس كويسة بخير تمام كله تمام and just don't forget to use alhamdulillah thank God alhamdulillah can be used before these words or after them doesn't change the meaning okay so you can say كويس alhamdulillah or كويسة alhamdulillah كله تمام alhamdulillah بخير alhamdulillah so when someone asks you how are you doing or how are you and you respond to their question it's always polite to ask in return how are you or how about you or and you so to say and you in Egyptian Arabic we broke this down in the previous lessons and I'm going to preview them again with you and you in Egyptian Arabic is وانت to a male وانت to a male وانتي to a female وانتي to a female okay وانتو plural وانتو they all mean the same thing and you but in Egyptian Arabic we differentiate between masculine feminine and plural forms okay so let's practice them all together ازيك ازيك ازيكم how are you اخبارك ايه اخبارك ايه اخباركوا ايه what's your news عامل ايه عاملة ايه عاملين ايه how's it going or how are you doing ايه الدنيا ايه الدنيا what's up مالك في ايه مالك في ايه مالكوا في ايه كويس كويسة بخير تمام كله تمام الحمد لله Here are a few culture tips. We have tip number 1. If you get the chance to meet a man for the first time, it's always polite to shake hands like this. And after shaking hands, it's even more polite and nice to do this. As if you want to say, getting to know someone like you or getting to know a man like you just went straight forward to my heart. It's nice, polite, and easy, right? Shake their hands and then do like this. After shaking their hands, of course. Tip number 2. When meeting your friends, it's pretty normal here in Egypt to kiss them. Just one kiss on the right cheek and another kiss on the left cheek. Don't be shy to do this. I know in some countries this is maybe awkward, but it's pretty normal here in Egypt. Tip number 3. Again, if you get the chance to meet a girl or a woman for the first time, make sure you don't shake their hands, okay? Otherwise, they wouldn't feel comfortable with you. Just try to keep a distance and put a smile on your face and you can nod your head like ازيك عاملة ايه or ازيك عاملة ايه اخبارك ايه just keep a distance between you and her okay unless she's a close friend or something like that but that's the general case here in Egypt. Alright guys, so now you can ask your Egyptian friends how they are doing. So congratulations. I hope this is an easy lesson for you. If you like the content, just don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next lesson, and Assalamu alaikum.